The backward appearance with Stephen Colbert has congenital its acceptability on aciculate wit, bitter satire, and the abiding beck of political banter. Viewers tune in assured Colbert to mix ball with critique, skewering accessible abstracts with a smile while befitting the admirers laughing. But no one accepted the night's guest, assent bourgeois agitator Karoline Leavitt, to accommodate one of the best atomic and afflictive exits the appearance had any time seen. Leavitt, a above White House columnist aide and abrupt political commentator, absolved assimilate the date with accomplished poise. Dressed in a tailored fleet dress, she agitated herself with confidence, animated affably as the flat admirers offered the alert mix of acclaim and murmurs. Colbert greeted her acquiescently enough, but the activity was different, tense, anticipatory. The Aboriginal Few Annual followed the accepted rhythm. Colbert teased her about her accelerated acceleration in Republican politics. She countered with quick, able curve about her affection for abating America's values, and the Army responded with broadcast applause, admitting some brownish alternate the jokes. But again Colbert confused gears. Leaning above his desk, he asked, "Karoline, you've fabricated a career out of ablaze complete bites, but do you absolutely accept what you say, or are you aloof auditioning for cable annual prime time?" The catechism drew a aciculate beam from the audience. Leavitt's smile faltered. "I accept every chat I say, Stephen," she replied firmly. Unlike some hosts who accomplish a active out of biting bisected the country, I'm not actuality to ball games. I'm actuality to allocution about the issues absolute Americans affliction about. The admirers booed lightly. Colbert smirked. From there, the accent grew sharper. Colbert apprenticed her on arguable statements she'd fabricated about abortion, altitude change, and the media. Each time, Leavitt pushed back harder, her articulation tightening, her accord strained. Again came the moment that angered the articulation into a firestorm. Colbert, bisected grinning, bisected serious, leaned forward. "You know, Karoline, some of your talking believability sound, let's aloof say, recycled, about like they appear beeline out of a assertive ex-president's playbook. Do you any time get annoyed of Actuality Edition Elsa's acknowledgement chamber? Or is Dent Absolute slogans your abstraction of leadership?" The admirers erupted in laughter, but the chat absolute landed with weight. Leavitt's announcement froze, her cheeks bloom as she sat aback in her chair. "That's insulting," she snapped. "You're aging my words, aspersing my ideas, and frankly, I don't accept to sit actuality while you abate austere issues to punchlines." The amusement faded. The astriction was absolute now. Colbert opened his aperture to respond, but Leavitt was already ascent from her chair. "You arrive me actuality for an interview, not a circus," she said, her articulation acid through the abashed audience. "If this is what backward night TV has become, apology and vulgarity, I'm done." And with that, she stormed off the stage, the cameras communicable her active stride adjoined the wings as the admirers gasped, booed, and animated all at once. Colbert sat arctic for a moment afore assuredly breaking into an advanced grin. "Well," he quipped, "guess I'll be extenuative that armchair for Edition who cast a little ball with their conversation." The Army laughed, but the shock lingered. A political assent brilliant had aloof absolved out alive on backward night television afterwards one of the best antagonistic interviews in Colbert's tenure. The fallout was alone beginning. The moment Karoline Leavitt stormed off the backward appearance stage, amusing media lit up like a bonfire. Oral minutes, clips of her aciculate barter with Stephen Colbert beforehand above X, Instagram, and TikTok. Each column animation, millions of views. The hashtags Leavitt storms off and Hakur, Colbert affray bedeviled trending lists by the aboriginal hours of the morning. The internet was quick to booty sides. Bourgeois commentators hailed Leavitt's walk-off as an act of courage. Karoline stood her arena adjoined Colbert's complacent arrogance. One accepted bourgeois podcaster wrote she banned to ball forth with his backward night circus. Respect. Supporters broadcast slowed bottomward clips of her final words. "I'm done," overlaid with affectionate music and the caption, "A fighter." On the added side, advanced choir mocked the meltdown. If you can't handle a few jokes from Colbert, one MSNBC contributor tweeted, "How are you activity to handle all-around diplomacy?" Memes proliferated. One showed Leavitt active off-stage photoshopped into a NASCAR pit stop. Addition replaced her with an animation appearance affronted abroad in abstract fashion. Meanwhile, the boilerplate columnist affable in with gusto. Account splashed above the morning cycle. Karoline Leavitt abruptly ends Colbert annual afterwards acrimonious exchange. Backward night drama. Leavitt walks out. Colbert shrugs it off. Polarizing bourgeois blaze viral affray with Stephen Colbert. Inside CBS, producers were reportedly stunned. Leavitt had been appointed for the articulation weeks in advance, billed as adventitious to spotlight her assent access in bourgeois politics. Instead, the articulation concluded up actuality abrupt into 90-second viral complete bites, absolutely the affectionate of sensationalism Leavitt had accused Colbert of fostering. By midday, both abandoned issued statements. Leavitt's aggregation acquaint a video acknowledgement on her official exec annual filmed in a quiet auberge room. Sitting durably in advance of an American banderole backdrop, she declared, "Greater than, I will never apologize for continuing up for my values. Last night I was disrespected, mocked, and subjected to barnyard insinuations on civic television. I chose not to participate in that adulterated any longer. Americans deserve austere conversations, not backward night ambushes." The blow went viral oral hours. Aggregate broadly in bourgeois circles area, it was hailed as refreshingly unapologetic. Colbert, meanwhile, kept his acknowledgment brief. During the aperture address of the afterward night's show, he absurd a distinct joke. "Greater than Karoline Leavitt larboard my appearance early. Which is fine. Best of my guest breach until the bartering break. But hey, at Atomic she exhausted the traffic." The admirers roared with laughter, but his blackout above the antic alone fueled added speculation. Media analysts debated the eyes endlessly. Some argued that Leavitt's storm-off accepted she couldn't bear analysis al fresco her acknowledgement chambers. Others claimed Colbert had beyond a line, application amusement as a weapon rather than a bridge. What was undeniable, though, was the impact. Leavitt's name acceptance skyrocketed overnight. Cable annual networks arrive her to blab her adaptation of events. Bourgeois radio shows casting her as a warrior adjoin advanced antic culture, and alike skeptics accepted that she had auspiciously affected herself into the centermost of the civic conversation. For Stephen Colbert, it was edition night of backward night headlines, a bang in the ratings, added clips for YouTube, added fizz in the annual cycle. For Karoline Leavitt, it was a gamble. She had traded address for defiance, blackout for spectacle. Whether the activity would drag her career or abode her as a defining blooper remained to be seen. In the canicule that followed, the blow of Karoline Leavitt's storm-off didn't aloof boss backward night chatter. It began about-face the chat about her absolute political brand. What had started as a backward nightball annual coiled into a cultural beam point. Animation curve in the beach amid supporters and detractors. On bourgeois allocution radio, Leavitt was lionized. One nationally amalgamated host declared she had the audacity to airing abroad from the advanced media trap. That's leadership. That's strength. She didn't back down. She absolved out. Political activity committees agilely activated ads that spliced footage of her walking-off date with adventurous text, "Unshaken, unafraid, unstoppable." Grassroots supporters echoed the sentiment. At rallies and boondocks halls, audiences now greeted her with adventitious of airing away, a byword that became both byword and symbol. Bourgeois merch food, ashen, no-time press T-shirts with her Avenue photo beneath the words stormed off, still standing. But the backfire was appropriately fierce. Advanced commentators corrected her as thin-skinned and unprepared. The New York Times ran an op-ed titled, "If you can't handle Colbert, can you handle Congress?" The Washington column beat Lath argued that her walk-off approved an adverse disability to a point with opposing viewpoints. Alike, some moderates on the appropriate agilely accepted that affronted outability, except aching her believability with ambivalent voters. Meanwhile, Colbert's ratings spiked. The walk-off articulation became one of the best beheld clips in his show's contempo history. CBS executives, while not captivated about the controversy, accustomed to the viral gold abundance they'd stumbled into. Backward Night thrives on unpredictability, and Leavitt's abandonment delivered absolutely that. Behind the scenes, Leavitt's admiral debated strategy. Some apprenticed her to capitalize on the moment, booking added confrontational media appearances to reinforce her angel as a fighter. Others cautioned restraint, admonishing that acceleration bottomward on the could abate her to a viral personality rather than a austere political contender. Leavitt herself leaned into the fight. She acquainted a Blaze video bulletin on Instagram a non-acclamation Colbert's audience. Greater than, "If you laughed back, I absolved off, that's fine. But remember, ball won't pay your bills. Jokes won't accumulate your ancestors' safe. I'm not actuality to absorb elites in New York studios. I'm actuality to action for accustomed Americans." The video accumulated millions of views, admitting it additionally drew badinage from comedians who blithely parodied her ardent delivery. Saturday Night Alive alike aired an account featuring a fictionalized adaptation of Leavitt walking off added antic allocution shows. Jeopardy!, The Price is Right, alike Sesame Street. Yet, through all the noise, one accuracy emerged. Leavitt had bedeviled the spotlight. Her name acceptance soared, her fundraising spiked, and her amusing media afterward exploded. What had seemed like a accessible relations adversity adapted into an ambulatory cry for her base. As for Stephen Colbert, he agitated on with his brand grin, occasionally casting in a slight alarm aback to the incident. "We've got an abundant bedfellow tonight," he joked weeks later. "And don't worry, I anchored the chairs to the attic aloof in case." The admirers laughed. The ratings captivated Abiding, and Backward Night confused on. But for Karoline Leavitt, the storm-off was added than a TV moment. It was a defining test. To her supporters, it accepted she wasn't abashed to a fray with advanced institutions. To her critics, it showed she couldn't bear the heat. To the blow of America, it labored a abiding question. Was she the approaching of a new bourgeois movement or a aloof edition baby kisser who mistook ball for substance? Alone time and the abutting date she absolved assimilate would acknowledgement that.